Hi guys, today we are going to do the guided project for Word Chapter 4. It is the guided project 4.2. So I'm going to scroll to the tile that says Word Chapter 4. I'm going to click on the guided project 4.2. Now there's a couple things that I want you to notice on the screen. First of all, there's a start file. That's where I want all of you guys to start from. So click on this. Same thing we always do. We open it up from the bottom of our screen, and then I want you guys to save it to whatever place you save your documents to. So let's do a file, save as, and then I want you guys to browse to wherever you put your document. I'm putting them in my Software Savvy folder. Okay, now I'm going to go back to SimNet. In addition to this file, there are also some resources. So what I am going to do is I'm going to download these resources. I click on them and you can see that a folder opens up here. Now I am going to open up this folder and I can see the screen pops up and I've got a folder that says Word Guided Project 4.2. I'm going to double click and open up this folder, and I can see that this is a PNG file, which is actually a picture file. So what I'm going to do is on this file, I'm going to right click on it. Now when I right click with my mouse, I can choose copy, and I am then going to navigate on the left side of my screen to the folder that I'm saving my documents to. Now if you aren't seeing it, you can go to your documents, which is right here, and then you can look for that folder. Now for those of you guys who are not saving this to any particular folder, this is going to be in your your downloads folder. So once you get to the folder you want to save it in, all that you have to do is right click with your mouse in the white area of your screen and choose paste. So now when it's time for us to use this picture file, we have it here. Now I'm going to go off of my directions file. You can open up the directions here if you choose, but I've got a paper copy in front of me. So I just completed steps 1 and 2. Step 3 wants me to insert word art. So it says select the title of the document, which is the American River Cycling Club. I'm going to triple click to select it. And then B says click the word art button, which is in the insert tab, and then it is in the the text group. I should know which group this is. Here's the text group right here. Here's my word art button. Now word is just fancy letters. So I'm going to pull this down and there's some pre-made word art already. It tells me to pick fill red accent color 2 outline. Now depending on the version that you're using, it's going to be different. But I'm going to pick the Fill Red Accent 2 Outline Accent 2, which is this third one over in the first row. I can see that my title changes to big font. Now I want to change the shape width. So as soon as I put word art in, I got this new toolbar that popped up. It's the Drawing Tools Format bar. It tells me with this selected, I want to change the shape width. So here is my height over here. Here is my width. So currently my width is 5.98. I'm going to highlight this and I'm going to change this to 6.5 and press enter. So it just makes it a little bit bigger. Step E says click the position button in the Drawing Tools Format tab in the Arrange section. So the position button is right here. And I want you guys to choose more layout options at the bottom. In the horizontal area, so we've got a horizontal area here and a vertical area here. In the horizontal area, I want you to change the alignment to centered. So I'm going to fill in alignment and change it to centered. Then I want you to change relative to, instead of the column, the margin. So we're going to center this horizontally on our page, which means there's going to be equal white space on the left and right side. Then it tells me in the vertical area, I want to change it to absolute position, which is already on. and I want to move this 0.2 inches below the page. So what this is going to do is it's going to move it to a specific measurement. You want this to be on the page at 0.2 inches down. Once you have this entered, click OK, and you can see everything moves up because we only told it to move down 0.2 inches. Step I says click the text effects button. So we're in the Drawing Tools Format tab. The text effects button is in your Word Art Styles group. So here's your Word Art Styles. Here's my text effects button. I want you guys to choose reflection. And then once you pick reflection, choose tight reflection touching. It's actually going to be the first one under reflection variations here. So click on that. And you can see there's almost like a shadow. It's like it's in a mirror being reflected. Step 4, it says select all of the tabbed text at the bottom of the document. So I'm going to scroll to the bottom of the document. When it says tab text, it wants me to select all of this from age all the way through 150. These have been set up using tabs. It tells me to click on the table button, which is in my insert bar, and it's in my tables group right here. So I'm going to click on the table button, and I'm going to choose convert text to table. So what this is going to do is every time it sees a tab, it's going to automatically put a line in to separate it. Now it's going to ask you, okay, how do you want to separate this? I want you guys to choose auto fit to contents. Okay, so don't change the number of columns. It already sees it as 3. Auto fit to contents, which means make this as wide as it needs to be to fit everything, and separate whenever you see a tab. Click OK. Now you can see everything fits perfectly, but they're not all the same size because some words are longer. Step E says click on the Table Tools Design tab. When you put a table in, 2 tabs popped up, Design and Layout. I want to be on the Design tab, and I want to make sure that the header row and the bandit row boxes are checked. So here's a header row. If I uncheck this, well, it doesn't look like anything happens, but make sure it's checked, and then bandit row is checked. Step number G says in the Table Styles group, click the More button. So we're going to move over. We're still in the Design tab. Here's the table design. The More button is the arrow pointing down with the dash on top. Pull that down, and I want you guys to select Grid Table 4, Accent 2. So here's all your grid tables. So I'm going to go to the 4th one down. So this is the 4th grid, and I'm going to choose the Accent 2, which is this reddish color table. I'm going to click it. It applies that color to the table. It says in the 2nd column of the 1st row. So here's the 1st row. Here's the 2nd column of the 1st row. It says press backspace to delete the space between words and press enter. So it tells me that I want to delete that space right before the word zone. So I'm going to put my insertion point right before zone and press my backspace button to get rid of it. Step I then says once you delete the space, press enter. So I'm actually going to make this a 2-line title for my column. It says in the 3rd column, place the insertion point before the word heart, which is H in heart, backspace to get rid of the space, and then press enter to make it again 2 rows. Step 5, we are going to use the table selector handle to select the whole table. Now, the table selector handle is this little box in the top left corner of the table. If I click on this little box here, you can see the whole table gets grayed out. So I've got the whole table selected. Step B says in the Table Tool Layout tab. So I'm going to click on the Layout tab here. I want to align center and to make sure that I've got equal space on the left and right sides of this table. So here are all of my alignment buttons. The very middle one says align center. So this is going to put it smack dab in the middle of my page. I'm sorry, when I said in the middle, I was one step ahead. This centers everything.
May I have your attention, please? Medical alert. Medical alert.
This centers everything within the table. Step C says, with the table still selected, click the Properties button. So we're going to go to the table group here, and here's my Properties button. I'm going to click on this, and then it tells me to click Center. So this is how to center the table. So when I aligned centered, that was the stuff in the table. If I want to center the table itself, I have to click the Center button and then click OK. Now it's in the middle of my page. Step E says click the Cell Margins button, which is in the alignment group. So I'm going to move over to the alignment group. Here's the Cell Margins button. And it tells me I want to put some margins in my cell. Top and bottom are going to be 0.03. So I'm going to do that to both top and bottom, 0.03. And then left and right are going to be 0.1. Now margins are just spacing in between the lines of the table. So this is just going to give us extra spacing so it's not so close to the lines of the table. Click OK and you can see the table got a bit bigger. Step 6A, it says place your insertion point at the end of the second body paragraph, which is example. So I'm going to move up. So here's the end of my second body paragraph. I'm at the parenthesis. Step B, it says click the Smart Art button. Now to get to Smart Art, I have to click my Insert tab. Now once I'm in my Insert tab, it's in my Illustrations group. So here's my Smart Art button here. Smart Art is kind of a way to put like a bulleted list in a kind of a visual setting. So once I've got my Smart Art selected, the category of Smart Art I want to pick is Process. And then I want to pick the Continuous Block Process, which is actually going to be the arrow with some blocks over it. So let me find it quickly. It's going to be the arrow with some blocks over it. You can mouse over these too, but mine is the third row down, the very first one. So it's an arrow with some of these blocks over it. So I'm going to click on this one, and then I'm going to click OK to insert the Smart Art. Now this visual pops up. Now notice when the visual pops up that you have this bulleted list. You can type your words to go on this visual right on next to the bullets, or you can type them directly on the actual blocks themselves. If you close this down by pressing the X, you can always open it back up by clicking on this little arrow button here. So it tells me that the very first bullet, I want to say 220. And you notice I put it by the bullet, but it actually went on the square. I want to put the second text in, so I'm just going to double click on the word text here. And I want there to be your age. And I'm going to put a capital U and a capital A, comma, can't spell, your age, comma, space. Go back to the 220, make sure there is a space, a comma, and a space after it. And then the last one, I'm going to go back to the bullet because I like typing by the bullets, is predicted maximum heart rate. So it should look like this. No period or anything next to it. So it should look like this. Now, next to the comma, I want you guys to put a minus sign. So it should go 220, comma, space, minus, your age, comma, space. I'm not even going to put the commas in. I'm taking the commas out. So I want it to be 220 space and then minus sign. Your age take out the comma, space, equals sign. So this is how it should look. 220 minus your age equals your predicted maximum heart rate. Step 7, it says to format and reposition. So I'm going to close my bullets down because I don't need them anymore. So you can either click the X or click on that arrow. I want you to click the outline of the SmartArt. That's how you know that the SmartArt is selected. There's a solid line with bubbles on the outside. Step B says in the size group. So currently there are some new tabs that popped up. SmartArt Tools Design and Format. I want you guys to be in the Format tab, and I want you guys to go to the height and width. So mine is kind of compressed down. Size. Here is my height. Here's my width. For height, 1.5. For width, you are going to put 2.6. And then just press enter. So it changes the size of it. Step C, in the SmartArt Tools format, you want to turn on your text wrap. Here's your text wrap button, and this is just going to enable the text to kind of move itself around the visual. So I want you guys to choose square. You can see that paragraph that was below is now wrapped next to. Step D, it says we're going to click the position button. So in the SmartArt Tools Arrange Format tab, in the Arrange group right here, we are going to click on Position. And we want to choose More Layout Options, which is right here. Now once you're in the More Layout Options, in the horizontal area, you want to change the position, absolute position. We want it to be in a specific position on our page. We want to change this to 4.5 to the right of the margin. That's a specific position. And then in the vertical area, we want to change it to absolute position 0.4, and you want to change the paragraph to margin. So we're moving this to a specific position on our page. So that's shifted it over to the right hand side. Step H says with this SmartArt still selected, you want to choose an effect. So go to the SmartArt Tools Design tab, and I want you guys to pick the Styles group, which is over here. Here are all of these pre-made effects. It tells us that we want to change the effect to an intense effect. So if you just mouse over each of them, it pops up which effect this is. The intense effect is the last one in the best match. So it kind of gives us a harder outline and like a 3D look. Step I, it says click the edge of the first text box to select it. So the text box is going to be kind of right here where we put the text in. So I'm just going to kind of click the edge so I get solid lines around it, and I've got those bubbles just around the first text box. Step I says I wanted to press Control B. Now Control B makes it bold. I did that and it didn't change anything, so I am going to click on everything and try to make this bold. There, I've got bold on. So you can do it a different way. It says repeat this for the other text boxes. So I don't care how you do this. I'm going to go ahead and select everything and then turn on my bold. And I'm going to do the same thing for the last text box and turn on my bold. Step J, it says select the last text box, okay, which mine is already selected. And I want you to choose the SmartArt Tools Format tab, which is here. I want you to change the fill. So here in the Shape Styles group, we have Shape Fill. Currently we got a blue box. I want you to change it to Red Accent 2, which is right here. So we've got two blue boxes and a red box. Step 8, this is where we are going to use that picture that we downloaded. So step 8A says place the insertion point at the end of the section heading, which is target heart rate. So that's where my cursor is right now. Go to your Insert tab, and in the Illustrations group, choose Picture. Now you've got, once you choose picture, it says where do you want to locate this. Now remember, I had you copy and paste this to your folder. So I'm going to navigate to my documents, my Software Savvy folder, and wherever you put it, you should find this picture called Heart Rate 4. And I'm going to go to Insert. Now a tab popped up, Picture Tools Format. On this Format tab, I want you guys to change the height to 1 inch. So here's my height and width. Height is the top one. It's 1.5 inch times 2 by 2. I'm going to change this to 1, and automatically the width changed because it tries to keep it proportional. Then I'm going to go to my text wrap button, which is right here, and I'm going to choose my text wrap to be tight, which means text wraps around both sides of it. Then I'm going to go to my align button, and I'm going to align my picture to the right. So it should look like this. All right, with your picture still selected, we're going to make a couple other changes. Step A says, with the picture selected, click the More button in the Picture Styles group. So here's the Picture Styles. We're going to click the More button, and I want you guys to choose the Beveled Rectangle Picture Style. So, Beveled Rectangle Picture Style. It's got some rounded corners on it. I've got to find the right one. Right here. Beveled Rectangle Picture Style. Step C says right click on the picture. So with it still selected, right click and choose Insert Caption. Now it asks, what do you want the caption to say? So right now the caption says Figure 1. That's what we want the caption to say. So click OK to insert the caption. You can see Figure 1 pops up underneath it. Step E says select the caption placeholder. Now to select the placeholder, you click on the lines outside. They turn to solid lines with bubbles around the outside. You want to change the text fill, which I just deselected it. So again, on the line, so I get solid lines. In the Drawing Tools Format tab, you want to change your text fill. The Drawing Tools Format tab. Here we go. Text fill, which is right here, this A with line under it, and you want to change your text fill to red accent 2. Now with this, it changed to red, highlight Figure 1. You are actually want this to say know your target heart rate. Now once you've got that, click back on the outside to make it a solid line. You are going to change the height. So currently the height is 0.44. Change the height to 0.2 and change the width to 1.5. Then everything should fit on one line. Step H says press your Control key. So I've still got my caption selected. Press your Control key and click to select your picture too. By pressing your Control key down, you can select multiple items on your page. Step I, in the Drawing Tools Format tab, I want to choose my Align button. And in my Align button, I want to choose Align Center. Now when you click on this, notice how the picture moves over just a bit and your caption is now centered under the picture. Step J says in the Arrange group, which is right here, we've got two things selected. Go to your Group button and choose Group. Those two things you just made one thing. We are now done. Control S to save. Go back to SimNet, submit it, and see what you guys get. Just like I said, you guys always get 2 times to do the project, so if you're not happy with what you received that first time, feel free to do it again. Otherwise, we are now done with the 4th project in Microsoft Word.